All right, welcome back, everyone. So this video is going to be a little bit of me just sharing some of my tiny wins approaches, or how I approach, trying to improve my life in tiny ways. So if you remember, or if you did watch last week's video, there was a quote that James Clear gave that kind of set me on edge. But basically, he talked about how we imitate the powerful. Basically, we imitate the behaviors that we believe will give us status, that will give us more resources, that will make us more attractive to other people, right? And so we imitate people who we believe are higher than us, basically, in order to basically gain some of their success. And, it was a long quote. It was an uncomfortable quote. But one thing that I want to share with you is, I guess, one of my habits that I've developed by imitating, someone that I consider to be successful, at least to some degree, right? And so this would be from Dan Pena. Dan Pena is, he is a former CEO of Great Western Resources, which I think was an oil company, or some sort of fracking company of some kind. And, he claims to have made, $480 million, or to make the company worth $480 million. And then later he developed his quantum leap advantage model for developing rapid generational growth, or generational wealth rather, based on his experiences there. And I like his content. He's a little bit intense, but I do believe that he means well, genuinely, and I do believe that a lot of his tactics work. And one of the tactics that I guess this is what he calls the weekly report. So his whole thing is, you need to be held accountable, right? Especially if you're trying to do anything high performance, you need to be held accountable for what you do, and you need to hold yourself accountable. So there are two aspects of this weekly report. The first aspect, and I kept it blank because you have no business seeing mine, honestly, but the first area is the weekly report. So one, you need to find someone that you will send this to, right? So whether it's a mentor, whether it's, someone else who you believe is on a similar trajectory as you, or who's on a good trajectory, you want to send this to them at least once a week. And so what you're going to compose it with is your goals, your overall goals and objectives on this column, what you accomplished that week, what problems and challenges you experienced that week, right? What you plan to accomplish next week, and then the people you socialized with. So breaking this down, obviously the goals, they keep you on track. What you accomplished this week is also to hold you accountable, and to have your mentor hold you accountable, because sometimes the things you accomplish have nothing to do with your goals, right? And then on top of that, if you do not hold yourself accountable to the goals, or let's say you don't accomplish the goals that you had from last week, this week, right? Then you're going to basically see that you're inconsistent. You're full of shit, basically. So this is a very important column. The next one is more of a means for self-reflection, right? So problems and challenges. This is basically just to get you to reflect and really process, okay, why didn't I hit all my goals? Why didn't I get what I claimed that I wanted? And then hopefully you can use that to inform the goals that you're going to make next week, right? And then finally, the people you associate with. Now, I don't know about you, but sometimes when I look at this, I'm like, well, what does people I socialized with have to do with anything? But one thing that Dan Pena talks about a lot is, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. That's one of his sayings, right? Show me your friends and I'll show you your future. And what that means is the people you socialize with. And this is exactly what James Clear said in his quote. The people you socialize with are going to eventually be the people you imitate, whether you know it or not, right? So if you're surrounded by people who are lazy, you're going to pick up some of their lazy habits. If you're surrounded by people who are overweight, you're going to pick up some of their bad health habits. If you surround yourself with people who are bad with money, you're going to start picking up their habits. But then the reverse is true. And so for me, what I tend to do is, with this column in particular, I do list out the people I socialized with, but then I bold the people that I want. I bold the people who have futures that I want, right? Who are on trajectories that I want for myself, right? And then I use that ratio of, okay, bolded versus non-bolded to see if I'm socializing with the right people, right? So that's kind of the weekly. Then the hourly one, this is going to be harder for a lot of people, but this is a daily report. And in my tabs, I have one for each day. But basically, you need to track your behavior every hour, right? If you're sleeping, then put sleep, right? But other than that, you need to hold yourself accountable, because otherwise you're gonna think you're succeeding, you're gonna get distracted, you're gonna waste several hours, you're gonna talk to the wrong people. So this is actually probably the more important of the two aspects of this weekly reports. This is the daily report or the hourly report, as I call it. So I put it in military time, right? So 0 through 12 and then 12 through 24. So this is the afternoon. And then you say, hey, what did you work on during that hour? What did you accomplish during that hour? Who did you interact with during this hour? And what did you waste time on? And this by itself is very similar in concept, if not the same in concept, as James Clear's weekly habit tracker, right? Or habit, I think he calls it daily habit tracker, actually. And this is extremely important to building any sort of habit, because you need to first know what you're doing. You need to first notice the behaviors that you're doing, right? And so this is a very important accountability tool for that. And I think this is what will lead you to determine, okay, man, I've been consistently doing this bad thing at this time. I need to maybe put in some habits to replace that, right? So anyway, I didn't want this to be too long, but this is an example of me imitating the powerful, let's say. This is one of the habits that I definitely do on a daily basis. I'm not showing you mine because, again, that's like extremely personal, and I don't feel like doing that. But just so you know, I am doing this on a weekly basis. So I'm going to put the template in the description, as well as my not book, but there's a document called the Roadmap for Self-Transformation, where I have a lot of James Clear quotes and a lot of other things just to help me keep me on track. So if you go into that document, and then if you search James Clear using CTRL and then F, you'll be able to find some of those quotes. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope this is valuable to you, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. Take care.